Your person just made a secret decision about you. What happens next will change everything. My beloved child, listen very carefully, because something has shifted behind the scenes, and your person may have already made a decision they have not yet revealed to you. While you were wondering why they became distant, why their communication changed, why they sometimes seemed deeply connected to you and then suddenly disappeared, they may have been wrestling with a decision inside their own heart. And now, my beloved child, that internal battle may finally be reaching its turning point. They may have realized something they could no longer ignore. They may have realized that losing you permanently would hurt far more than admitting what they truly feel. They may have realized that the future they imagined without you does not feel as satisfying as they expected. They may have realized that silence did not erase the connection. It only made the questions louder. And now, something is being prepared. A conversation. A message. A confession. A return. A decision to finally stop running from what has been living inside their heart. My beloved child, do not rush away from this message, because there is something important you need to understand about what happens next. Your person may not reveal everything immediately. The decision may begin quietly. It may begin with a thought, a realization, a small action, or a simple message. But behind that small movement may be a much larger emotional decision. My beloved child, there are moments when a person reaches a private crossroads. No one else sees it. No one else hears the conversation happening inside their mind. They may continue smiling around other people. They may continue working, talking, laughing, posting, traveling, and living their ordinary life. But internally, they are asking questions that become impossible to ignore. What am I really doing? Why am I still thinking about this person? Why does their absence bother me? Why do I still care? What if they move on? What if I never get another opportunity? These questions may have been growing stronger inside your person. And my beloved child, sometimes a secret decision is made long before it becomes a visible action. Your person may have already decided that they cannot continue pretending. They may have already decided that they need to talk to you. They may have already decided that they need to know whether the door is still open. They may have already decided that they want to understand what you feel. They may have already decided that they cannot walk into the future without at least trying to resolve what remains between you. And that decision could change the entire direction of this story. My beloved child, perhaps you have been feeling emotionally different lately. Maybe you have started thinking about them unexpectedly. Maybe memories have returned. Maybe you have dreamed about them. Maybe you have felt an unusual sense of anticipation without knowing why. These experiences can happen when something remains emotionally unresolved. But do not allow them to make you abandon your peace. Your life must continue regardless of what another person decides. That is one of the most important lessons in this entire journey. You can love someone and still live your life. You can hope and still move forward. You can remember someone and still build your future. You can remain open to reconciliation without waiting helplessly. My beloved child, your person may be realizing the same thing from the opposite side. They may have believed that moving forward meant forgetting you. They may have believed that time would erase the memories. They may have believed that distance would make everything easier. But perhaps the opposite happened. Distance gave them perspective. Silence gave them space. And space gave them the opportunity to finally hear their own heart. When the distractions disappeared, your memory remained. When other conversations ended, their thoughts returned to you. When the excitement of other situations faded, they remembered the emotional depth they experienced with you. And this may have forced them to ask themselves a difficult question. Did I walk away from something I actually wanted? My beloved child, that question can change a person. It can make them revisit the past. It can make them rethink decisions. It can make them recognize mistakes. It can make them regret silence. And it can make them consider taking a risk. Your person may now be standing at that point. They may be thinking about contacting you. They may be wondering whether you would answer. They may be wondering whether you would forgive them. They may be wondering whether you still care. They may be wondering whether you have moved on. And they may be afraid of discovering the answer. My beloved child, perhaps the secret decision is connected to something they recently learned about you. Maybe they heard that you are doing well. Maybe they noticed that you have become happier. Maybe they saw a change in your life. Maybe someone mentioned your name. Maybe they came across an old photograph. Maybe they remembered a special day. Maybe they returned to a place where you once spent time together. Or maybe nothing external happened at all. Maybe they simply woke up one morning and realized that they were tired of pretending. Sometimes the biggest changes begin inside the heart without any visible event. My beloved child, your person may have been telling themselves that they should not reach out because too much time has passed. They may believe that you would not care anymore. They may believe that you are happier without them. They may believe that you have found someone else. And those fears may be holding them back. But at the same time, another voice inside them may be saying, "You will regret never trying." That voice becomes louder. And perhaps that is why they have made a secret decision. Not necessarily to force a reunion. Not necessarily to demand anything from you. But simply to stop hiding. To finally speak. To finally ask. To finally discover the truth. My beloved child, if they approach you, you do not have to immediately decide what the future looks like. You can simply listen. You can ask questions. You can take your time. You can let them explain. You can allow yourself to feel without allowing emotion to control your decisions. You are not required to give an immediate answer. You are not required to promise anything. You are not required to forget what happened. You are not required to pretend that nothing hurt. You are allowed to move slowly. My beloved child, this is especially important because the person who is approaching you may not be the same person who walked away. They may have experienced consequences. They may have learned lessons. They may have faced loneliness. They may have experienced disappointment. They may have realized that avoidance does not create peace. They may have discovered that emotional distance does not automatically create freedom. And those experiences may have changed them. But you do not need to assume they have changed. Let them show you. Actions are more reliable than promises. Consistency is more meaningful than one emotional conversation. Respect is more important than dramatic words. My beloved child, perhaps your person has already rehearsed what they want to say. They may have imagined the conversation many times. They may have thought about beginning with an apology. Maybe they want to say, "I am sorry." Maybe they want to say, "I should have been honest." Maybe they want to say, "I was scared." Maybe they want to say, "I did not know how to handle what I felt." Maybe they want to say, "I tried to move on." Maybe they want to say, "I never really stopped caring." Or maybe the first words will be much simpler. Can we talk? Sometimes 4 words can carry months of emotion. My beloved child, if that moment comes, remember to breathe. Do not let the sudden appearance of their name on your phone pull you back into old anxiety. You have grown. You have changed. You have learned. You are not the same person who once waited for every message. You are not the same person who allowed uncertainty to determine your mood. You are not the same person who believed someone else's silence defined your worth. You know better now. And because you know better, you can respond differently. My beloved child, perhaps your person is secretly deciding whether to return because they are afraid you will reject them. That fear may be stronger than you realize. People who appear confident can still feel deeply insecure when approaching someone they genuinely care about. They may wonder whether they deserve another chance. They may wonder whether they have damaged the connection beyond repair. They may wonder whether you still see them the same way. They may wonder whether they waited too long. And perhaps they did. But waiting too long does not automatically mean that nothing can ever be repaired. It simply means that repair requires more honesty, more patience, more responsibility, more effort. My beloved child, if your person truly wants another opportunity, they will eventually understand that. They will know they cannot simply return and expect everything to be exactly as before. Because you have changed. Your understanding of love has changed. Your standards have changed. Your relationship with yourself has changed. You have learned to recognize the difference between attention and commitment. You have learned the difference between words and actions. You have learned that someone can miss you and still not be ready. You have learned that chemistry is not enough. And that wisdom will protect you. My beloved child, your person may have secretly decided that they want to fight for another chance. But what does fighting for a connection actually mean? It does not mean pressure. It does not mean manipulation. It does not mean jealousy. It does not mean grand promises. It means showing up. It means communicating. It means being honest. It means respecting your boundaries. It means being consistent. It means being willing to have uncomfortable conversations. It means accepting that rebuilding trust takes time. That is the kind of decision that matters. My beloved child, perhaps your person is finally thinking about the future rather than simply the past. Before, they may have focused on what went wrong. Now they may be asking what could still go right. Before, they may have focused on their fears. Now they may be considering what would happen if they faced those fears. Before, They may have asked whether the connection was complicated. Now they may be asking whether it was worth fighting for. This shift is significant, because a person can remain trapped in the past for years. But when they begin imagining a future, their behavior can change. They start thinking about possibilities. They start making plans. They start creating space. And perhaps that is what your person is doing now. My beloved child, there may be something they have not told you about their internal struggle. They may have been afraid that their feelings would become too serious. Maybe the connection felt stronger than they expected. Maybe they did not anticipate becoming emotionally attached. Maybe they thought they could keep things casual. But then they started caring. They started remembering small details. They started wondering how you were doing. They started feeling protective. They started imagining you in their future. And suddenly, the situation was no longer casual. It became real. And real emotions can scare people. Especially people who have learned to protect themselves by staying emotionally distant. My beloved child, perhaps your person built a wall because vulnerability frightened them. But walls do not only keep pain out. They also keep love out. And eventually, a person can become tired of living behind their own wall. Perhaps your person is tired. Perhaps they want to feel again. Perhaps they want to stop pretending. Perhaps they want to know whether you still feel the same. And perhaps that is the secret decision. To finally open the door. My beloved child, there is another possibility you should consider. Your person may be realizing that they have to choose between comfort and truth. Comfort says, stay silent. Truth says, speak. Comfort says, do not risk rejection. Truth says, you will never know unless you try. Comfort says, move on and forget. Truth says, you have not forgotten. And when truth becomes stronger than comfort, action follows. That may be happening now. My beloved child, you may soon notice a subtle change. Perhaps their communication becomes more direct. Perhaps they stop pretending to be indifferent. Perhaps they become more curious about your life. Perhaps they ask mutual friends about you. Perhaps they suddenly become more present. Perhaps they finally say something emotional. Do not rush to conclusions. Simply observe. The person who has truly made a decision will eventually become consistent. They will not disappear after one moment of courage. They will continue. My beloved child, if they reach out, you may feel several emotions at once. Excitement. Fear. Anger. Hope. Confusion. Love. You do not need to choose one immediately. You are human. Your heart can hold conflicting emotions. You can be happy to hear from them and still remember what hurt you. You can care about them and still be cautious. You can forgive and still require proof. That is not contradiction. That is maturity. My beloved child, perhaps your person has been wondering whether you would accept an apology. Maybe they know they owe you one. Maybe they have rehearsed it. Maybe they have typed it. Maybe they have deleted it. Maybe they are afraid that an apology will open an emotional conversation they cannot control. But if they truly want healing, eventually they must face that conversation. You deserve honesty. And they deserve the opportunity to take responsibility. My beloved child, if you receive an apology, listen to whether it contains accountability. There is a difference between "I am sorry you felt hurt" and "I understand that my actions hurt you, and I take responsibility." The second requires ownership. And ownership is important. Because without accountability, the same patterns can return. Your person may be learning this. Perhaps they now understand that their behavior had consequences. Perhaps they realize that your silence was not random. Perhaps they realize that you stepped back because you were protecting yourself. And perhaps they respect that now. My beloved child, there may have been a time when they thought your boundaries were rejection. Now they may understand that boundaries were protection. You were not trying to punish them. You were trying to preserve yourself. And that distinction matters. A mature person can understand it. My beloved child, your person's secret decision may also involve releasing another situation that was preventing them from being honest. Maybe they were distracted. Maybe they were uncertain. Maybe they were emotionally entangled in something else. Maybe they were afraid of what other people would think. Maybe family expectations played a role. Maybe their own past was influencing their choices. Whatever the obstacle was, they may now be deciding that they cannot allow external circumstances to dictate their emotional truth forever. But remember, my beloved child, you should never be asked to compete for someone. If they want you, they must make their situation clear. You deserve a clean choice. You deserve someone who approaches you without keeping you hidden inside confusion. My beloved child, perhaps this secret decision is about finally choosing honesty. And honesty can change everything. Because once the truth is spoken, the guessing ends. Maybe the answer will be what you hoped. Maybe it will be different. But either way, you will know. And knowing gives you freedom. My beloved child, perhaps you have been asking for a sign that your person still cares. The most important sign is not a coincidence. It is communication. It is action. It is consistency. If they care, let them show it. If they want you in their life, let them make room. If they want to rebuild, let them participate. If they want another chance, let them earn your trust. That is how you protect your heart while remaining open to possibility. My beloved child, there is no need to chase someone who has already decided to come forward. And if they have not decided, chasing them will not create genuine readiness. So release the pressure. Let them choose. Let them reveal themselves. Your peace is more important than any prediction. My beloved child, imagine your person finally making the decision late at night. Maybe they are alone. Maybe they have your conversation open. Maybe they have been staring at your name for several minutes. Their finger hovers over the screen. They hesitate. Then they finally type. "I have something I need to tell you." They stop. They read it again. They almost delete it. But something inside them says, "Send it." And they do. Your phone lights up. Your heart stops for a second. You stare at their name. And suddenly, the silence that existed between you begins to break. My beloved child, if that moment arrives, remember that you do not owe an immediate emotional response. You can breathe. You can read. You can think. You can respond later. The power of the moment should not control your judgment. You are allowed to protect yourself. You are allowed to be careful. You are allowed to ask. What changed? Why now? What do you want? What are you willing to do differently? Those questions are not cruel. They are honest. And if your person is serious, they will not run from them. They will answer. My beloved child, perhaps they will tell you that they have been thinking about you for a long time. Perhaps they will say that they tried to move forward. Perhaps they will say that something was missing. Perhaps they will tell you that they finally realized how important you were. And maybe they will say something you never expected. I made a decision. You may ask. What decision? And perhaps their answer will change the entire direction of your relationship. Maybe they have decided to stop hiding. Maybe they have decided to pursue you seriously. Maybe they have decided to ask for another chance. Maybe they have decided to tell you the truth. Whatever it is, let them explain it fully. My beloved child, the strongest part of this story is not whether they return. It is whether they return with maturity. A return without growth can recreate the same pain. A return with growth can create a new beginning. That is why you must observe. Do not fall in love with potential. Look at reality. Look at behavior. Look at consistency. My beloved child, perhaps your person has learned that you cannot be taken for granted. They may have realized that your kindness was not weakness. Your patience was not endless. Your love was not an obligation. And your presence was not guaranteed. That realization may have humbled them. Perhaps they now understand that if they want you, they must choose you intentionally. Not occasionally. Not privately. Not only when they are lonely. But consistently. My beloved child, maybe the secret decision is not simply about coming back. Maybe it is about becoming someone capable of staying. That is much deep.